Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Arlington Heights Village Board to order this Monday evening, March 5th, 2012, and ask the audience to please rise and join the Village Board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Blackwood?
Here.
Trustee Farwell?
Here.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Here.
Trustee Scaletta? Trustee Sidor?
Here.
Trustee Breyer?
Here.
Trustee Glasgow?
Here.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Here. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and first we have the approval of minutes from the joint meeting with the Library Board on January 28th. Are there any changes?
Move approval.
Now we have a motion for approval by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Farwell. Anything further from the board or the audience? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have the approval of minutes of a joint meeting with the Board of Trustees and the Park Board on February 18th, 2012. Any changes?
Move approval.
Second.
A motion for approval by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Blackwood. Anything from the board or from the audience? We have a pass from Trustee Farwell and a pass from Trustee Hayes as well. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of February 20th, 2012. Any changes?
Move approval.
Second. Motion for approval by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Sidor. Anything further from the board or the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And finally, we have the approval of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting from February 20th, 2012. Any changes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Anything else from the board or the audience? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have the approval of the accounts payable dated February 28th, 2012, and I call on Trustee Farwell.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hayes, President Pro Tem Hayes. I would move approval of the warrant register with a check date of February 28th, 2012, in the amount of $623,584.71.
Second.
I have a motion for approval by Trustee Farwell, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Any comments or questions from the board or from the audience? If not, roll call.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. Well, next on our agenda is something very special under recognitions and presentations. You can tell that the audience is a little more full than we usually have here on our village board meetings on Monday nights, and we're very thankful for that when we have the opportunity to have additional audience members. One of the reasons that we have such a great community is the quality of our schools. And you can't have great schools without great students. The fact that we have both of those here in the village of Arlington Heights is a recognition of the fact that we have 6 high schools within our borders, and that the students at those schools continually demonstrate high achievements each and every school year. And that's certainly the case here this evening by the students that we have to recognize this evening. We're very happy to have with us this evening 2 varsity cheerleading teams from high schools within the borders of the village of Arlington Heights, who both made their schools and the community very proud by the achievements that they've made at the state finals in the last few weeks. In particular, we recognize the varsity cheerleading team of Buffalo Grove High School for their 3rd place finish in the co-ed category in Bloomington on February 4th, and the varsity cheerleading team of St. Viator High School for their 1st place finish in the mid-size category at the same competition. So I would first like to call the coach of the Buffalo Grove High School varsity cheerleaders. I believe Coach Siegel is here. I saw that did he come in with a walker? Can you make it, Coach Siegel? It wasn't a cheerleading injury, was it? Take your time. Coach, thank you. And we also have Assistant Coach Barbara Meyer with us this evening. Coach, if you would just introduce your coaches and the individuals from your team, and as you introduce them, if you could have them come forward and turn around and face the audience, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. First of all, we want to say thank you for inviting us, and also congratulations to St. Viator. It was great cheering them on and watching from our area a team win the state championship. They did an absolutely awesome job, and they have a phenomenal head coach, Chrissy Palumbo, who's done a great job. Oh, Lawfer, sorry. I know her since she's been a kid. Done a great job coaching them, and they just did an outstanding job and represented the village of Arlington Heights very well. So also, we want to congratulate on behalf of Buffalo Grove High School the St. Viator cheerleaders. The Buffalo Grove cheerleaders this year set a bunch of school records. Number one, they were first-time ever sectional champions. They won the Mid-Suburban League Conference in the co-ed division. They actually won the overall division title over Conant, so that was a great accomplishment. They took first place at the Belvedere North competition. They took first place at the Belvedere competition, first place at Rolling Meadows, second place at Grays Lake North, and then again first place in the sectional. And then they finished up third place in the state series. That's the first time in school history they've ever placed third in the IHSA and take home a state trophy in cheerleading for the high school. We have a couple more coaches that are not here tonight. We have Matt Meyer, who is Barbara Meyer's husband. Barbara and Matt are also graduates of Buffalo Grove High School and members of the village of Arlington Heights. We also have Jeff Johnson, who is also a graduate of Buffalo Grove High School, who is not here tonight. And then Aaron O'Donnell, who was actually, when I used to coach at Elk Grove High School, one of my former cheerleaders from there, who's student taught at Buffalo Grove High School this year. We had an outstanding coaching staff, and they did a great job. At this time, we'll bring up the cheerleaders, if they want to line up here, and we'll introduce them. Yeah. First one we have, Corey Bobo. Jenny Suzuki. Christina Chen. I'm actually going to let Barb Meyer go do this because with my injury that I have, it's a little hard to bend over to talk with the microphone, so I'm going to let Barb Meyer take over.
Actually, Jeff, you can stand back and talk. It's okay.
I'm loud, so we can do that. Christina Druffin.
Congratulations. I'll be down here.
Megan Cohn. Marissa Domain. Alex Espinoza. Amy Goodman. Sharon Hahn. Lauren Hitzman. Caleb Jones.
You guys want to move down?
Luis Miranda. Mackenzie Moore. Natalia Mikhaeva. Bryn Rapp. Grace Wheeler. Carrying the trophy, Jacqueline Zerkball. Missing a couple of team members here tonight.
Congratulations.
Of the 2012 IHSA third place in state co-ed champions.
Well, congratulations again. I was thinking about what we could do to be creative here this evening. I know you're not wearing your cheerleading uniforms, but I know myself, I'm a Prospect High School grad, and I was thinking that we maybe could sing the school fight songs or something. I know I've got one other Prospect grad here at least this evening, the father of one of the St. Viator cheerleading members, Pete Donahue. So I think we'll hold off on that for now, but we certainly want to thank you for all that you do, not just for your school, but for the Arlington Heights community. And so thank you again for all your hard work and continued success throughout your high school careers and thereafter. So thanks again. One other thing, do we have a representative of the team that would like to say a few words?
Who's the captain?
Anybody? Okay, you're volunteered.
I don't have the card though. I'd like to thank our coaches for having a fun year with us, and yeah, I love you guys.
Okay. All right, thank you, guys. Go ahead, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Coach Chrissy Palumbo to the podium to introduce her team.
Jeff, how are you?
Congratulations.
Jeff, congratulations. Okay.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Palumbo. Today I have with me my assistant coach, Mickey Rung. My other assistant coach, Tara Palumbo, couldn't be here. First, I'd like to say thank you to Jeff Siegel and all of Buffalo Grove. It was great to be here with you guys today. This year was by far, I've been coaching St. Viator for the past 10 years, and I attended St. Viator and cheered at St. Viator, and this was our most successful year that we've had in the past 10 years. We started off the season with 3 first place finishes at competitions. We won our sectionals, and then we ended up winning state. So I'm very proud of the girls and all of their success this year. So I'll bring them up. We have Lizzie Riley, Nicole Marino, Bree St. Pierre, Allison Stepuzek, Kathleen Murphy, Colleen Donahue, Kathleen Darling, Anna Malapanis,
Congratulations.
Sarah Teets,
Congratulations.
and Captain Anna Cerrone.
Congratulations.
We have a few girls that couldn't make it tonight. We have Marianne McAndrews, Jenna Shackstead, Maggie Dickey, Katie Holsworth, Isabel Rooney, Susanna Faye Curry, Tara Kane, and Megan McCollum.
Well, congratulations to you girls as well. It's a testament to all of the hard work and hours that you put into this effort and continued success in all of your future endeavors as well. Is there a team representative that wants to say a few words tonight? We have a brave volunteer.
On behalf of my entire team and my coaches, I just want to say thank you to everyone here for taking the time to recognize our achievement. We had a really long but successful season, and it means a lot to us to have our hard work be recognized. So thank you.
Hey. Congratulations. Okay, thanks, girls. Well, thanks again for joining us this evening. Again, it's just one indication of the very high-quality schools and students we have here in the village of Arlington Heights. So we, again, thank you for all that you contribute to your community. And you are free to leave now if you want to leave. You're also welcome to stay to the end of the meeting. So thank you. And next on the agenda is public hearings, and we do have a public hearing tonight on the 2012-2013 Community Development Block Grant Budget. And I would like to entertain a motion first to open the public hearing this evening.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to open the public hearing by Trustee Farwell, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I would then like to turn it over to our village manager, Bill Dixon, for introductory comments.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Hayes. This evening is the second public hearing for the fiscal year 2012-2013 annual action plan, including the 2012-2013 Community Development Block Grant budget. For the purposes of developing the draft annual action plan that was reviewed by the board at the first public hearing on January 9 of this year, the village used its federal 2011 grant allocation amount as the best available predictor of its federal 2012 entitlement grant amount. After the January 9 public hearing, the village received notification of its final federal 2012 entitlement grant amount. That amount is $242,730, which is $11,870 less than the $254,600 that had been estimated. As a result, it's been necessary to revise our recommendation to accommodate this decrease of $11,870. In doing so, we spread it evenly across the allocations in a manner that maintains compliance with the recalculated spending caps. The only programs for which reductions are not recommended are the Children at Play program, since a reduction would likely result in an increase in the general fund allocation for this program, and the allocation for the debt service on the senior center bonds. No comments other than notes of appreciation from sub-grantee agencies were received from the public during the 30-day public comment period that ended on February 22nd, 2012. Therefore, we've made no changes to the draft annual action plan that was provided to the board for the January 9 hearing.
Are there any questions or comments from the board first? And if not, I do have a card from a member of the audience who would like to speak on this agenda item. Is Bob Arnold here? Mr. Arnold, if you come forward and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening to the trustees. I am Bob Arnold. I'm the board president of Journeys from Pads to Hope. And I'm here to thank the village board for its support of Journeys over the many, many years. And we appreciate your contributions. They're badly needed, as you can appreciate, and it's helped us to sustain a very active program. And I'd like to take just a minute to summarize for you, to bring you up to date on some of the things that are going on with the homeless and the near homeless. In the last 3 years, we have averaged each year supporting 138 residents of Arlington Heights. That's an average over the 3-year period. More broadly, when we look at homelessness in general, it obviously is continuing and will likely get worse as the economy struggles over the years ahead. What's interesting to note, however, is that only, in our experience, only about 15% of the people who come to us as homeless are chronically homeless. Most people pass through our program and go on into permanent residential settings. In fact, many of these people have jobs. They just don't have enough to pay the rent or the down payment deposit or to buy a residence. So many of them are working, and many are well educated. We have some people with master's degrees who are out of work and barely struggling and barely getting by with their limited income. Over the last 9 years, we have helped 600 people transition out of homelessness into permanent residential settings. So we have a very active program that is, I think, significantly contributing to the issue of solving some of the homelessness problem in the northwest suburbs. We have a clinical staff, and their goal is to get these people who are homeless into productive lives. They do counseling, they do case management, they provide all sorts of support, including where people need medications. We're able to work with Northwest Community Hospital and Walgreens to get the appropriate medications for them. We have shower, laundry facilities, food, a pretty complete setup at our offices on Northwest Highway. Recently, however, people on the verge of homelessness has become a very, very big issue for us. Over 2/3 of the people we see now are on the verge of homelessness. Some of them don't need much support, but they are so close to the edge that even evening meals are keeping them out of homelessness. And I mention this just to alert you to the fact that there are many people who are in homes today but are very, very close to losing those homes. So the issue of homelessness is, in that sense, going to be with us for quite a while. I think, although I'm on the board, I can say this without having had any direct activity with the staff to solve these problems. I think the village can be very, very proud that we have such an organization, such an agency as Journeys that can move as many people out of homelessness as we have, and who can help as many people avoid homelessness. And we're finding prevention is the biggest issue we're facing today. So your support to Journeys through the CDBG grants is greatly appreciated, and I think as a community can be very proud of the work that this nonprofit organization is doing. So I thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Arnold, not just for your comments, but all that your organization, PADS, does for our community. We're just sorry that we can't give more to both your organization and other organizations within the village. So thanks again for all you do. Are there any other members of the audience that wish to address the board on the CDBG budget? Okay, ma'am, if you'd step forward. We don't have a card from you, but please step forward and identify your name and address, please.
I apologize for not filling out a card. I walked in a few minutes late. I'm Dr. Rebecca Reynolds, and I am part of Ministry of Hope at Cross and Crown Community Church. Because of being a mother of 7, I'm not always there on Saturday mornings with them. However, I do a lot of the grant writing. I do a lot of the resource finding for our patrons at Ministry of Hope, and a good majority of them go through the PAD system. A good majority of them have great things to say about the PAD system. The struggles that they have that we help with, more along the lines with, more along the lines go with the emotional connection that people need to sustain an emotional sanity, if you will. When they come to us on Saturday morning, we give them a breakfast, a lunch, they leave with an afternoon snack. However, when they come to us on Saturday, they also have a socialization that happens with the members of Cross and Crown Church. My position in finding the resources is when somebody can't figure out how to get the medical insurance or can't find a ride to a public aid office, I provide those things. That's my connection to it. Now, we have never received any of the community block grant funds at this point. We started applying for the funds right as the recession started hitting and the grant funds started dwindling. So we have not had the opportunity to receive them. I'm here to let you know that we're active in the community and that we are here, and we're definitely a resource that we want people to use. And we would like you to put us out there. If you know of anybody who needs our services, we're more than happy to help. Okay?
Great. Yeah, thank you so much for your comments, and I think this is a good forum for you to educate the community in terms of services that you do provide. And as I indicated earlier, we're just sorry that there isn't more money to go around to everyone. So thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the audience who wish to address this agenda item? If not, are there any other questions or comments from the board?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion to close the public hearing by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. If not, I'd entertain a motion regarding adoption.
Motion to adopt the staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion to adopt the federal fiscal year 2012-2013 annual action plan, including the 2012-2013 CDBG budget, and authorize staff to forward the annual action plan to HUD for review and approval by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Breyer. Any further questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Voice vote okay? Roll call. Roll call.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. Thanks again to not just our organizations that provide the services to our village, but to the members of staff, particularly Nora Boyer and Charles Perkins and Robin and everyone else involved in this effort. I know it's been a long process, as it is every year, but we just thank you for everything that you do to help out these organizations. So thank you, staff. Next on the agenda is citizens to be heard. And I do have one card from Candace, otherwise known as Randy. Right, and Bill Anderson. One or both speaking? Okay, a designated representative. So if you just come forward and state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Candy Anderson, 1614 East Waverly Court in Arlington Heights. My question, well, first thing I have to say, it's the first time in this room. It's really nice. We did a good job. Our concern, and I'm a rep from our neighborhood, is the ash tree issue with all of our green ribbons, all of our trees, around all the trees. I don't know if this, I called the village and talked to the planning person, and we were told that most of the trees are in, they don't know, but they're testing. Many of the trees are infested, they're believing, and that the ones that are on the easement in front of our homes, we're encouraged to treat them and also consume the cost for that. And I suppose that is more our question, my husband Bill and I, and our neighborhood, is there going to be, if there's so many of them that need to be treated and the village planted them on the easement, will we be able to get some help with the cost of treating these trees? When I called the Planning Commission, I was told we have to find our own tree services to treat them. And they're saying it's like $100 to $200 a tree, and we've got 3 on our property alone. So when I did call the planning group, they had said if enough people showed up to show concern for the issue, maybe the village could do something to help us. Residents, taking care of treating these trees. And is it worth treating them is probably a question. Do the borers flip from one tree to another, or are young trees not affected, the older trees are worse? That's our concern and why I'm here.
Well, we thank you for your comments. This has been the subject of much discussion over the past few months at both formal village board meetings and other neighborhood meetings. A number of neighborhoods, as you might have seen, have mobilized and really taken the bull by the horns and interfaced with the village and private contractors to treat their trees. this is a policy decision that the board has made, at least at this point, for the people to choose to treat their tree or not at their own expense. There is some potential discussion regarding a contributory program that may still be discussed in the future, especially as we enter into our budget discussions in the next month or so. But at the present time, it's a purely people's choice in terms of treating the trees themselves. Anything to add about that, Mr. Dixon?
I think you summed it up well. You correctly described the village's position at this time. You also referenced the fact that budget meetings will occur this month, and we understand informally that some board members have some interest in seeing if there is a way to assist with parkway trees and the treatment thereof. People need to understand it's not a one-time treatment to be effective. It has to be for the life of the tree, we understand. And it is a big challenge. We have 13,000 parkway trees in the village. And I think we're all, both the residents and the board and the staff, are learning things each week about this situation. We do have answers to many of the questions you posed, and I hope you'll talk, if you haven't, with Drew Sabatello, our forester. But while we have a position at this time, I think it's always wise to leave options open as we learn more.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Trustee Breyer?
You might want to talk, you're not that far away from them, you might want to talk to some of your neighbors in Northgate, because the association there has been very active in creating a program that the residents are participating. There's also some programs in the south end of town that they could steer you to with Tom McDonald and Sam Moser and a bunch of other people have been active. And you might get some pointers from those folks, because, as I say, they've been very active in dealing with this the last several months. And I think the advice you've gotten from the others about coming back when we have budget time to see if there's any available resources, that would be a wise thing to do. But in the meantime, rather than lose this period of time, I would suggest talking to some of the others that have been very active in this regard.
And who would I get those names from?
Well, if you look on the Northgate Civic Association website, you'd see a lot of names, and I think the administration can steer you to a number of the folks that have been active.
So if I called the planning department, would anybody who would know?
No, I would call Drew Sabatello, the village forester, and the Department of Public Works. 847-368-5800.
I don't think we have an active association in our area, Ivy Hill and East Ivy Hill, that I'm aware of. So, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your comments.
Okay.
Are there any other citizens who wish to address the board on any topic under citizens to be heard? If not, we'll move on in the agenda to the consent agenda. And I understand the staff would like to remove item 10B, the automated license plate recognition system, so that will be removed.
We actually have two 10Bs.
Whatever the proper designation is, it's the automated license plate recognition system. That item will be removed from any consideration here this evening, pending further staff review. Is there any trustees who would like to remove any other item from the consent agenda? Any members of the audience who would like to remove any item from the consent agenda? And are there any members of the board who would like to vote no or pass on any items on the consent agenda?
Move approval.
I have a motion for approval by Trustee Glasgow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Anything further from the board or audience? If not, roll call.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. We'll move on then to new business, and the first item under new business is the request of Berry Yo Yogurt to be located at 50 North Vale Avenue. It's a special use to allow an 1,800 square foot sit-down carry-out restaurant. Is the petitioner present this evening? All right, if you'd come forward, please. If you just identify your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Henneman. I live at 1250 Yosemite Parkway in Algonquin, Illinois, and this is an owner also.
Jim Schrammick. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay. We do have your materials and the recommendation from the Plan Commission, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
What we're going to do is we're going to open up a self-service frozen yogurt. It's called pay by the ounce situation, where people come in, families and groups, and they'll come in and buy yogurt, sit at our tables. We have inside seating for 50 people, and what we want to do is we want to be able to not only facilitate the community, but also we're going to work with the community, and every month we're going to have a charitable, non-for-profit group that will get a certain percent of all of our profits for one day of the month, second Tuesday of the month. So people that would be in the area, being Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts and that, you know, we're all from, we have 9 kids, we're all from the Arlington Heights area, and this is where we decided to make home for us, and hopefully it's a business that'll thrive and be good for the community. We've been very involved in other frozen yogurt shops, so we know what they do. But it's a clean, neat business that people have fun at, and kids can have birthday parties at, and communities can use in the morning for their own facilities. If somebody needs to have a meeting before we open, we're going to open that up to everybody, so it should be very well accepted in the area.
This is a downtown location. If you just give us the specifics in terms of where it will be located.
It's at 50 North Vale. It's right next to Armand's. If you know where Armand's Italian restaurant is, we take the spot that's adjacent to them to the south.
Okay, yeah, it's more for the members of the public that are watching this evening to make sure they know where you're going to be located. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'd move approval. I looked at this, I looked at what you have versus what I've seen in other areas with regard to the pay by the ounce. I don't have a real problem with the foot traffic or anything else. Traffic seems to be okay from both police and fire. I don't have any problem. I think it'll be a nice addition to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Any further questions or comments? Trustee Farwell?
First of all, welcome to the community.
Thank you.
In a professional manner. It sounds like you've always been here, which is great. Had a couple questions about signage and what you plan on doing there, because I know your location is set back, if I recall correctly.
Yes, sir.
And you've got the raised planter with the ornamental grass in front of you. So,
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, how are you going to anticipate overcoming
We
that?
have bids being put out right now for the signage above our doors there, or above the canopy like all the other places have downtown.
Okay.
And for the most part, that'll be all of our signage. We'll try and do it more by just getting people into the store. So it's so high up there you can't see it, so it'll be a sign up above. The canopies can't be used for signage as far as we know, so that'll be our signage up there.
Okay. All right. I was just curious because I know in that raised bed there is electric there, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can
Well,
talk
it'd be
to the
nice to put something there,
association.
but we wouldn't do that. That's not what we're about.
And then, what is the term of your lease? How many years is your lease?
We have a 5-year with 2 5-year extensions.
Okay. And is it assignable? So if in the event that you ever wanted to sell the business, you can assign the lease over?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, that's great. Well, welcome to the community. I can't wait to try your
We're
yogurt.
very glad to be here.
Trustee Blackwood?
Just a quick question. I've always wanted to ask this of anyone who had a specialty store that featured either frozen yogurt or ice cream. What do you serve during the winter time to sustain you? Because in the summertime, it's obvious that everybody enjoys your product. But during the winter time, sometimes it's a little more difficult, I think.
Yeah, there's always a slowdown during the winter months, but when you have a product that is very unique to us, which is very health conscious and that, you'll find that your people will come year-round for it. We've got them all over the country. We don't have them all over the country, but they're developed all over the country. We're Boston and Canada and that. So the winter time is definitely a slowdown, but it's not something that stops the business. So once people get used to coming there, hopefully they're coming on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Just want to check, I assume you're in concurrence with the
restrictions as far as that the Plan Commission has put on as far as seating area and compliance with regulations and everything?
Yes, sir.
And just a note, as far as we always have an issue with employee parking and where the employees park, so, you're given permits as far as to have the employees park in the garages that we have, so to allow for the customers to use the street parking and things, so.
Yes, sir, and we understand that, and we want those spots because they're very valuable for the customers, not the employees.
Right.
So they'll be restricted to park where they're supposed to, including any ownership in the company.
Great. Well, welcome to the community. Good luck.
Thank you.
Anything further from the board?
Oh, when do you anticipate opening?
We're hoping to be open by maybe May 15th. We want to be open before Memorial Day, so that's our target goal today.
Fantastic. That's great.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? If not, roll call.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. Well, welcome to the village. I do see that at least you are a Hersey graduate. Are you, Jim, are you as
Yes,
well?
I am.
Right. We certainly appreciate
The
you.
whole family's Hersey, except for my sister went to Wheeling.
Okay, well, we'll forgive her for that. Well, we certainly appreciate you opening a business in your original community, so thanks so much.
We appreciate your support, too.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is the request of St. James Parish for an amendment to the special use ordinance to allow a 3-year extension to the required parkway improvements along Pine Avenue and Frederick Street. And let me first call on Village Manager Bill Dixon.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Hayes. I'm a parishioner at St. James, not involved in any boards, committees, or decisions. Nonetheless, I have not participated in village/parish items when they've arisen over the years. So Charles Perkins, our Director of Planning and Community Development, will represent the administration on this item.
Okay, Mr. Perkins, do you have comments?
Thank you. Yes, the petition this evening by St. James is to seek an extension to one of the provisions that was granted in the ordinance in 2007, which required the phased landscape improvements on the east side of their campus. This aerial shows the school addition on the west side of Arlington Heights Road that was part of the approval back in 2007 with the associated parking area and landscape improvements on that side. And there was a minimal landscape plan that was approved and required along Frederick and Pine to remove the paved parking area, replace it with a sidewalk to allow for safe pedestrian movements in and around the school and to other schools, and to restore the parkway with sod and some trees. The St. James is seeking a 3-year extension. The Staff Development Committee evaluated this request and did not support the request for the extension, but did recommend a 6-month extension to September 6th of this year to allow the parish to raise the funds to make this improvement. The Plan Commission held their public hearing a few weeks ago, and after receiving input from the public, recommended the 6-month extension as suggested by staff. I believe the petitioner's in the audience as well, and they'll be happy to elaborate their
Right,
request.
Father Zavasky, are you the designated representative?
I am.
Why don't you come forward and just identify yourself for the record, please.
So you want my name?
Name and address, please.
Okay. Father Bill Zavasky, Z as in zebra, A, V as in victory, A-S-K-I. Current pastor at St. James Parish. I have a little prepared statement. Is that okay if I read it?
Sure.
Great. Okay, so here we go. I want to give all of you a history of this because I think some people don't know what we have been through. In 1997, St. James Parish underwent a major study of all their facilities and what they would like to see happen in the next 40 years. After months of study and interviews, it was decided at an open town hall meeting with several hundred parishioners that certain things needed to happen in the next 40 years. First, it was absolutely necessary for us to enlarge our footprint in the community. We currently have around 4,000 families who are members, which means about 15,000 individuals who use our facilities on a regular basis. Things have to change, and so they did. The parish used the Archdiocesan Millennium Campaign of 2000 to raise significant funds to expand our real estate. We raised $3 million in the Millennium Campaign and went on to buy 10 homes adjacent to our property. We spent almost $2 million trying to do that, and we're left with $1 million to go on to the next step. The second phase of our 40-year plan was to build a new school on the west side of the street around our parish center. Our school on the east side was built in 1926, and while it was a serviceable building, it was in need of serious updating for families to educate their children. We also needed to move the school to the west side of the street if we were ever going to enlarge or build a new church. We started planning in 2000 to make this major move in our 40-year plan. The church expansion or new church building on the east side was our third and last phase. We spent 5 years designing and planning for the new school facility, and then spent the better part of the year working with the Village Planning Commission to see that we met all the requirements they wanted. After a lengthy 4-hour meeting held at the Metropolis Center because of the large interest this project raised, we were granted permission to build a new school only if we would commit to enhancing the east side of our parking lot, which contained the old church and school. We were given 5 years to complete this task. In 2005, we began our campaign, and we needed to raise $11 million to do this project. We currently house and educate about 500 students in our school, and it has been a very good addition to the community, as will be testified by all our neighbors. But unfortunately, our economy took a serious downturn in the last 5 years and has left us with a major debt of $1.8 million. St. James was hoping for an extension on our commitment to enhance the parking lot on the east side because we were aware of the total plan established in '97 that ultimately would either expand the existing church building or totally build a new church edifice. Pressed by some neighbors who have written the village and see the parking lot on the east side as a safety hazard, they moved the village to have us keep the deadline of 5 years, and the Planning Commission has graciously given us an extension of 6 months to see that it's done. When we do this, we will lose approximately 60 parking places for our parish community, which is a major concern for us. Some neighbors consider the parking lot as it currently is a safety issue. To our knowledge, there has never been an accident there in the last 42 years. There is talk about cars driving off the curb of the parking lot onto Pine Street. While that may happen occasionally, there are usually cars parked in front of them on the street itself. There has also been no sidewalk on that section of Pine Street for the last 42 years. However, the children are able to walk on the other side of the street where there is a sidewalk. We had a plan to retire our debt within 5 years. However, the downturn of our economy has severely affected our families, like most businesses in this village. And we are currently $125,000 under budget in our general operating expenses. An additional $50,000, because that's what the estimates are for this project, puts a strain and stress on our remaining savings. I want to let you know that after we had paid off the debt we incurred on our west side project, we intended to redo everything on the east side as the final step of our 40-year plan. I want to thank you for listening to our story and know that we have resigned ourselves to keep this commitment that the Planning Commission has recommended. So, we will do what they recommend that we have to do now. But there were reasons why we tried to delay this, and I just wanted you to know that, okay? Because eventually we wanted to redo the entire east side. And I cannot guarantee you when that would happen. So, but we were hoping that we could get at least a 3-year extension to do that. So that's why we have been remiss in not doing this, and we have to come back to you to ask for an extension. So we'll take the 6 months. Some people in my parish community do not want me to fight this whole proposal. I want to finish this. I want it finished. Okay? So that's my story.
We appreciate your comments, Father. Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Glasgow.
Do you feel that you can get this done within the 6-month period allotted by the Planning Commission?
Well, I hope so. You know, we have to rip up and seed and plant and everything else, so I'm hoping we can get it done by September.
I just
That depends on the weather.
I'm just personally concerned with, the documentation that was presented to us and your financial situation. Do you truly think that you're going to be able
Well, I went to the
is that
Finance
window
Committee.
enough for you?
Yeah, I went to the Finance Committee, and we will take care of it. They supported my decision. Okay?
So you can live with 6 months as opposed to the
Well, I
3
hope,
years?
if the weather permits and we can get everything done.
Well, if the weather permits, would they be able to come back and ask for another extension, Robin? Okay.
I don't know when we would have to do that, but I want to get this done.
I think that's fair.
Okay?
If you do.
Pardon me?
If you do. If you think you can get it done within the 6
Yeah,
months.
I hope so, but of course, God is the only one that'll tell us if the weather will get ruined.
I'd move
I
approval.
want God to help, yes, okay.
I'd move approval of the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of the Plan Commission recommendation by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Blackwood. Trustee Farwell.
Father Zavasky, your fiscal year goes from July 1st to June 30th, is that right? There was some sentiment on the Planning Commission level of wondering if you would benefit by having that 6 months extended to possibly maybe match your fiscal year so that you might be able to take benefit of better planting either seasons or deals that you might get from various nurseries as they close out their fall. Has there been any talk with your finance committee or your landscaping grounds people?
We've not had a discussion with the landscaping people. I mean, we've been told by the Planning Commission we would have 6 months. I mean, I have to go back to my people and say, this is what's going to happen. We have to do this within 6 months. I mean, that's why we wanted a little longer time. No?
I mean, you have to understand that the 3 years wasn't going to fly based on the notes that we were reading. And regardless of the step, when you come back for the redevelopment of the east side, the rededication at Parkway and the sidewalk was going to occur regardless of what you do with your own property. So they're two really independent thoughts. But I was just, in reading this, I was reading Mr. Lorenzini's and Mr. Drost's comments, especially Mr. Drost's comments with the idea of possibly having the church benefit from purchasing the stock from the tail end of the season possibly, and bringing that cost down. Although
But I would think the village would see if we have made an effort to rip up the property and put the seeds in, if we're, they would see that we are progressing forward. That
Right.
if we don't get done in 6 months, they would certainly have the wherewithal to extend it somewhat.
Right, so long as there's, of course, if there's good faith. But that's what I was going to say, if
No
you're...
no pun intended.
Well, yeah, well, there you go. Of course, there's always good faith over on Arlington Heights Road there. But if the petitioner, if you are agreeing to try the 6 months, then that's fine.
wanna
But I guess
try to get
I'm
this
looking
over
at it as
right.
if you work forward with it and need more time and it makes fiscal sense, I would be in favor of extending it to match your fiscal year to get closeouts for some of the larger nursery items you're going to need. So,
Well, the village is committed to buying some of our trees.
The commitment that the village made 5 years ago was to install the trees along Frederick, the 4 trees there, and St. James is responsible for the 6 trees on Pine.
Okay.
Village also paved the spot too, but that's another story altogether.
Anything else from the board? I do have one card from an audience member, Mr. Vince Sanasardo. Mr. Sanasardo? Just state your name and address, please.
My name is Vince Sanasardo. I live at 731 North Pine Avenue. First of all, I want to thank the board for hopefully going along with the Planning Commission's recommendation here. As you probably know, I've been very vocal on this subject. I live right down the street from this parking lot. And, you know, one of my concerns is that in the 5 years that have passed up until now, there has been no effort on the part of St. James to plan for this, set money aside for this, do anything to meet this commitment that they agreed to 5 years ago. St. James operates on, I believe, about a $4 million a year budget. And estimates that we heard to get this done was somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000, I think. And, you know, over 5 years, that means that St. James collected probably in excess of $20 million in their overall revenues. I've been a businessman for 25 years or longer, and I think that if I had 5 years to pull out $100,000 out of $20 million, and if I was sincere in wanting to meet the commitment that I made to the village, I would have found a way to put aside $100,000 to get this done on time. I think the problem is that St. James didn't really realize they had a serious commitment here, and that this was something that they had to comply with in a timely manner, and thought that they could put this off, and the village would be willing to grant them any extension that they wanted. Well, I hope that that doesn't happen. The neighbors on Pine Avenue, we have lived with this for a long time. It is a very dangerous situation. We have witnessed time and again people driving over the curb on Sundays, we witnessed it the other day when I believe teachers were being dismissed from school. You could watch them get in their car and drive right over the curb. It is a very unsafe and a very unsightly situation that exists on Pine and on Frederick, and I think it really is time for the village to step up and force St. James to do this. I don't see the benefit in granting them any longer than a 6-month extension. This puts them into the fall of next year, which is a time when they ought to be able to get some deals on planting. They only have to buy 6 trees. You know, we're not talking about a forest full of trees here. We're talking about 6 trees. And I think granting them more time is just going to be that much longer that they're going to take to do it. I think the right thing to do for this board is to take the Plan Commission's recommendation, give them a 6-month extension, and let's make sure they get it done. The people on Pine Avenue deserve to have this corrected. We looked at some film that I think Matt Dombrowski was able to find as to trying to determine when this happened. There was a period somewhere in the late 60s when there was grass and parkways along Pine Avenue in Frederick. And then they took another photograph sometime in the 80s, I believe it was, and the pine and the grass and the trees were gone. So, and there's no record in the village of anybody ever coming before you and asking to pave right up to the curb. So apparently this was done clandestinely without the village's approval. It is seriously out of code. It was something that the church agreed to do when they were granted the extension to build a school. And I think the right thing to do is to make them live up to their recommendation. I understand Father Bill's concerns. I'm sorry that I have to be the parishioner up here and make noise about this. But the fact of the matter is, if that didn't happen, we probably would be looking at a 3-year extension. And so I think that hopefully the board will do the right thing and go along with what the Planning Commission recommends and do something good for the neighbors on Pine Avenue in Frederick. If any of you have driven by that site, you'll see that it is not very attractive. The property taxes on my home are $15,000 a year. And I don't like looking down the street at asphalt up to the curb. And I don't like the safety issue that situation causes. So, you know, there are neighbors directly across the street from that. Most of them were at the Plan Commission meeting, you know, with us, and many of us spoke out in favor of getting this done as soon as possible. So I hope that's what the board does. And I want to thank you for your time, and hopefully you'll do what's right for the neighbors on Pine Avenue in Frederick.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Mr. Sanasardo. We do have a motion and a second for concurrence with the Plan Commission recommendation for a 6-month extension. Anything further from the board or from the audience? Trustee Sidor.
Just a quick question, Mr. Perkins, when we buy our trees, since I think we're going to be buying quite a few trees in the next couple of years, can we pass savings along to St. James for the trees along Pine that they are responsible for? Do we get trees at maybe a cheaper price than St. James would be able to? Is that a possibility?
We can explore what the price of our trees are through our supplier versus what they could get through their landscaper, and if there's a way to work something out, we'd certainly be happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if nothing further, roll call.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. Thank you again, Father Bill, for your commitment to abide by the Plan Commission recommendation. We certainly appreciate your cooperation. Next on the agenda, under petitions and communications, we have a request from Arlington Downs to proceed at their own risk for site demolition. Is the petitioner present or representative? If you just come forward and identify yourself, please.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and trustees. Carl Grossbeck with the Argent Group, 3400 West Euclid Avenue.
All right, Mr. Grossbeck, why don't you tell us what your request is?
We are requesting consideration for a demolition permit that would allow us to take down basically the non-contributing structures that we feel are a danger to the community in their present condition. This will not, if anything, it will increase the value of the site overall for anybody. We understand we're taking this at risk, that not fully entitled yet, but we think that this is a very important step to start initiating the redevelopment of the Downs. And most of the buildings, the old convention center and the lobby of the hotel are a collection of buildings that date almost back to and actually do date back to 1951 when it was the old Carousel restaurant. They're cobbled together. There are parts of that building that we're surprised in some cases has not bothered to fall down yet. And we think that if you would allow us to do this, we think it's a benefit for the project, but it's also a benefit for the community. We get rid of an attractive nuisance, and as I say, it for anybody, this is actually a contributing value for us to get these old buildings down. It's not, it wouldn't impede another developer if something were to happen at this point. As we're taking it on our risk, we just think that this is it's a very good step for everybody, and we'd like to do that if the board so feels that it's a benefit too.
Okay, thank you. We do have a staff recommendation to concur with the petitioner's request. Is there anything further from the staff?
Trustee Hayes, or President Pro Tem Hayes, you're aware that recommendation has some conditions with it.
Right, and why don't someone from the staff just go over the conditions for the record?
I can do that. Removal of the one-story building in front of the future, well, that's the request. The conditions are at the bottom of the staff request or staff report. The petitioner understand that they are proceeding at their own risk since final zoning and subdivision approval has not yet been granted by the village. I think that's been acknowledged. That prior to the issuance of a demolition permit, the petitioner shall provide a landscape plan that screens to the satisfaction of the village the construction, staging, and material storage area from the public view, south and west property lines. The issuance of a demolition permit shall be subject to first obtaining a Cook County demolition permit. And finally, the issuance of a demolition-only permit shall be subject to compliance with all applicable building permit and bonding procedures and approvals.
Okay, Mr. Grossbeck, you're in concurrence and will abide by all of the conditions of the recommendation?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Glasgow?
I have one question after looking over all the material. Am I correct in that your construction traffic is going to come in through Euclid and out on Rowing?
We're working on that with Rolling Meadows, who owns Rowing. Right now, it'll go in and out of Euclid, which is the county road.
I mean, my only concern is because of Rowing being more of a construction-oriented and business-oriented area, those trucks are not going to be as obtrusive, whereas Euclid is a thoroughfare.
We would love to. We have to work that out with Rolling Meadows, who has an objection to construction traffic during the demolition period going on Rolling. And we're working with the staff and Rolling Meadows. We're working together very closely. We're going to try to modify their expectations, but since it's intergovernmental or intergovernmental jurisdictions kind of melding together, we're still working on that piece. We would like to use Rowing on the way out, yes.
I just want to make sure my concerns are clear, because you've got, once Arlington Park opens, you've got Arlington Park traffic going in and out on Euclid, and then number two, during courthouse hours and courthouse times, you've got, from 9 o'clock until roughly about 3 o'clock, you've got people coming in and out. With regard to that, you could slow traffic to a crawl over there, inhibiting Arlington's ability to get patrons in.
We're very concerned about that, Trustee Glasgow, but we're trying to work with.
I understand your restrictions. I just want to make sure
we are very aware of it.
With that, I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval to allow the petitioner to proceed at their own risk by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Farwell. Anything further from the board? Trustee Rosenberg?
Mr. Grossbeck, when do you anticipate the time frame to do this?
It's going to take about 2 to 3 weeks, we believe, to get the permit out of Cook County. That's not a given, but that it's somewhere. So we would hope to start sometime about mid-April by the time everything gets organized. It takes a while to mobilize for this, but we're talking about mid-April, we believe.
And how long do you anticipate this would take?
60 to 90 days is the range that we're giving with the contractors right now.
So you would kind of overlap into the start of the racing season then?
We would, and we have been in that discussion too. There may be things that we want to do to mitigate traffic. The racing season really starts on weekends, is when their big buildup is, and we probably will not let work go on during the weekends, at least during the racing season, or any heavy traffic to happen during that time. Not a lot of the dumps are open at that time anyway.
Right.
On weekends.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Anything further from the board? Anything from the audience? If not, roll call.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. Continued good luck, and hopefully you'll continue to enjoy good weather in the construction and demolition season. So.
A little scary this year, but we're going with it.
Right. Okay. Good luck. Next on are there any other petitions and communications from the board? If not, I'd move on to the report of the village manager.
Thank you. This evening, we're requesting a closed session for 3 reasons. First, 5 ILCS 120/2C11 litigation. Secondly, 5 ILCS 120/2C2 deliberations concerning salary schedules for 1 or more classes of employees. And finally, 5 ILCS 120/2C21 discussion of minutes lawfully closed.
I would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to go into closed session by Trustee Farwell, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Roll call.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Hayes?
Yes. We will be adjourning into executive session, and we will not be reporting back. Is that correct? Okay.
That is correct.
Thanks to everyone for joining us this evening.